Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again. This is not Cody Bradley with the Shades of Blue. This is Thad Bell. Cody is unavailable again today due to technical difficulties, but we have a lot of things to talk about. Robert Russert is here, as has been the tradition lately for a long time. But David Greenwald, you are back, man. Welcome back.
I am back. Thank you.
He's had to take a hiatus to do some other things that, if you don't know, I'll let him discuss it at some point if he wants to, but we really missed you and glad to have you back, man.
I missed you guys. I can't say I missed the team. They suck. They've continued to suck. And I've been watching and have been in many ways grateful that I have not had to suffer through talking about how bad this team is.
What was the phrase you used to describe something mediocre?
Mid?
Incredibly mediocre? Is that what it was?
I don't know. I think calling this team mediocre is being overly generous.
I agree. Yes, that's why incredibly mediocre is more effective.
We are fresh off a 4-0 loss in Columbus, but before we get started, before we dive into that too much, I just have an official Thad Bell statement to make. I will, from this point forward, be boycotting the Leagues Cup and not attending any games in person. I will still, however, watch them.
That's a very bold choice. That so
Wow.
proud of you.
You have no courage of conviction. I'm not even going to watch the rest of the League's Cup. I'm done.
I will watch some just because there will be interesting games, man. I'm not going to lie. There will be interesting games.
Exactly. I'm a soccer fan. I'm going to be tuning in.
There will be people kicking balls, and sometimes that is entertaining.
I think the Prem starts back up like this week, next week.
Yeah, but we are not a Prem show.
Yeah, but I'm not going to watch the mediocre Leagues Cup when I can watch the Premier League.
You can watch both.
You can't watch both. Yes.
I
lots
don't
of
intend
soccer.
to watch both. I need to recharge my batteries and take many naps.
Don't know why, man. Don't know why. All right, 4-0 loss in Columbus. Just what did we observe from this, man?
You know, we were so outclassed in basically every meaningful way. Columbus completely controlled and dominated the game. Sporting looked like they had no ideas going forward. I think there was 3 shots from Sporting for the entire game. We had 3 shots, 1 on target. Columbus had 19 shots, 10 shots on target, 4 big chances. I mean, it looks like 2 teams that don't even belong in the same league together.
Yeah, I mean, going in, who would have expected this? Who would have predicted this? Everybody. But a couple of goals, 2 of them were almost the same exact attacking movement from Columbus, and we still didn't have a clue on the second time around. Rosero watching people just go by. I wonder if anybody's got him. That kind of thing. So it's rough, man.
I want to give like at least a little benefit of the doubt here. Is in the first half, Sporting was kind of holding their own for a good chunk of the first half. They weren't dominating, they weren't the better team by any means, but they had a good chance early. I think they had another chance that went wide, but that was the best part of them, was like the first half hour of the game. But it was over once Columbus scored right before half. That was done. They were down, and when they come back out at halftime, they were the clearly weaker team by far at that point.
For a minute there,
So
David,
flat.
did you get a feeling that Thad was just echoing Peter? He's kind of a Peter disciple. I don't know.
Oof. You know, I'm just coming back. It's been a few months. I don't know if I want to come in guns blazing like that.
I just given
Um,
Thad trouble. I have to, man.
That's fair. That's fair.
it's not an unexpected result that we lost. It's disappointing to lose 4-0. It's disappointing to see that the team has just zero ideas going forward. And with no excuses, right? Like at least last year when the team was struggling, we could say Alan Polito was out, Gotti Kinda was out. We were missing 2 DPs, our best creative players. Who were we missing? What's the excuse for how bad this team was the other night?
Well, I think we were
Tommy
missing.
played-
We were missing Alan Polito. I mean, he was on the field, but we were definitely missing
Yeah.
him.
But we had Russell, Shallowy, Polito, Tommy, Afrifa and Agata came on. I mean, like, what excuse is there for this performance? This was our veteran team. These are all of our high paid players. These are all guys making over, 7 figures. What excuse is there for the absolute lack of threat?
Well, I mean, you've all probably seen it. Those are listening. You've read it on kcsoccerjournal.com. In Thad's rundown, it's been on a few other little things, but Johnny Russell's quote, I mean, guys, it's demoralizing in a sense just to hear the way he sounds about the whole situation. And I'll read a part of it here. For me, they're the best team that I've played here. It sucks when you play in games like that. And it just shows how far you are as a team from that level of quality. That's disappointing as a player and as a competitor to know that you're so far off a team like that.
It's sad that the captain is having to admit that, but just again, I'm just trying to look at kind of different angles here. Is he saying that just to put a fire under the other guys? I mean, could he be saying this to them in person in the locker room, or could he be saying this publicly to piss them off? I don't know. I think he's just being honest and depressed, but I'm just trying to throw another idea out there.
Yeah, I mean, the part where he talks about how we got dragged out of position, we were out disciplined in our shape, etc. I think that's calling his teammates out a little bit, but the part that I read, I mean, that's just reality hitting hard, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, we're nowhere. Our best player, financially at least, is Alan Polito. He doesn't play like it, but in terms of capital outlay, Alan Polito is supposed to be our best player. He and Cucho don't even belong in the same conversation. Even he and Diego Rossi don't belong in the same conversation. So their 2 best players are better than every single player on our team, and I don't think it's even close. That's a problem.
It's a huge problem going forward, especially because Polito got the new contract last year. He's not getting better. You could have argued that maybe he's having a little bit of injury trouble from last year, but he was so good there for a while until he got a new contract. And I hate to say that somebody doesn't play good because they got a new contract, but he has not played well since then. A couple goals here and there, but he has not been a true striker. Peter's been playing him out of his normal spot, but his normal spot, he drops back into that spot anyway. So I don't know that it's a huge change. I think Peter's trying to make the best use of those guys, but they're just not there.
Yeah, we have that stat, 28 different lineups in 32 matches. And is that what Peter's trying to do? Just trying to fill some holes by maneuvering people around? Or is he just trying to see what he's got so he knows what moves he needs to make?
No, I mean, I think that's a matter of trying to, try to fill injury holes. At one point we didn't have a right back. We were playing Kyrie at right back.
Yeah.
We've got so many different center back combinations between Fontes and Rosero and not Leibold, who's the other Bolider, and Denbe is just now coming back. So I know he's trying to shuffle guys through and he's trying to make it work, but the lack of consistency in the lineup is troubling. That these guys aren't getting into a rhythm together. It also speaks to who we're signing. If we're signing guys who are frequently injured, that's problematic. But this team, I mean, just top to bottom, just lacks the quality to be competitive in the league.
Well, I'm sure Mike Burns will fix all that.
Yes, he has plenty of time and plenty of opportunities and resources to do so in the next 4 windows.
Or 3 windows.
Or 3, or whatever.
Are we counting? Are we counting the one that we're in the middle of? But we'll get to a little bit.
Hmm.
Well, let's talk about, did you all see any positives from the match?
It's a good question. Is one actually I was thinking about throwing out there too. Is not a lot of positive. I mean, again, I try not to be just down because it was a bad game. I do think that the first 30 minutes or so was a not bad on the road performance at Columbus. It was decent, and once they gave up that goal, they were done and dusted. I hate to use that term because I think the announcer used that, but they were done.
I did think Pools Camp showed pretty well.
Yeah,
For how,
but doesn't he give up? Is it just me, or does he give up a lot more rebounds than Melia does?
he does, and that's
Yeah.
something we talked about, I think, a lot last year, was that he spills the ball a lot more. But he's got decent instincts. He's a solid shot stopper. And compare him at what, 22, 23, however old Pools Camp is, compare him to 23-year-old Amelia, and
Yeah.
Amelia was a pool keeper for a reason. And I mean, is one of my favorite players of all time at Sporting, but I think John has improved over his performances from last year and the little bit that we saw against Columbus. And maybe it was just a one game thing, but he's not played much at all this year. And so seeing him have a relatively good showing, it's tough to say that when you've given up 4 goals, but most of those, I would say all of them, were not his fault. Um, he looks like he can contribute moving forward.
Yeah, I don't want to point to this game as like this is a reason to be hopeful about Pulse Camp. I've been hopeful about Pulse Camp in the past, and I just still got to see him grow, still got to see him improve in some spots, commanding the box a little bit better. Although in some ways he does that better than Tim, because I think he comes out for the balls a little bit more often than Tim. He's a good shot stopper, like you said. Still needs a read when he needs to come out a little bit better, I think. Yeah, I don't know. What about like who do you think you would have started somebody different?
David, what do you think?
I mean, where I stand at this point, the only chance we have to win a trophy is the Open Cup. So everything else, I think, should be um, looking at, building and developing for the future. So I don't, I like Caden Pierre, and I don't mind Caden Pierre getting minutes at right back. The question then is, do you want to continue to play Jake Davis at right back if that's going to be his position moving forward? I know he was originally a midfielder, but we converted to right back out of necessity. But he grew. I mean, he's a solid MLS right back. So taking him out of that spot, putting him back in the midfield, it's nice to have some versatility, especially in a salary capped, roster capped league. But I think there's a balancing act there. I would love to see Afrifa basically just start the rest of the season. I'm a big fan of Daniel. Something's off with Daniel this year. I don't know what it is. Some of it seems to be a confidence thing. And there was a play early in the first half where he crossed a ball that last year he would have taken a touch, cut inside, and tried to curl it into the far corner. But this needs to be a youth movement moving forward. And Volater, I don't know, is any actually better than Fontes, but might as well give the minutes to the kid.
Yeah, that play though. I mean, the throw in, he gave the ball back, and then he tried to clear the ball, and it clears right to the middle of the pitch, and they score off of it. It's like, you got to feel a bit sorry for the guy.
Yeah, he's a little snake bit. I mean, I do think he's a better player than what he has sometimes shown, but again, nobody else is really claiming the center back spot and saying, "Hey, I am the best center back out here." Rosero has his moments, but then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, that guy just ran by me." Fontes, we know he can pass well, and we know he's going to make even I look fast at this point, but he's got his quality. Voloder, Castellanos can look really good for 85 minutes and not very good for a couple. Everybody, none of them are standing out, but is that issues with them? Is it issues with the whole team? I think it's a little bit of both.
I mean, we started this whole thing about how mediocre we are. And, David's talking about Jake Davis. He's a solid MLS right back. Okay. This team, and we have so many players that are like that. Johnny Russell's a solid MLS winger now. He used to be up there higher, obviously. But that's just why we're so mediocre. We have nobody in this team that stands out, that raises the level at all.
You know,
No, that's true. I mean, I think the best use of Johnny in an ideal world is a super sub. Johnny Russell's the guy that at this point in his career should be 30 minutes off the bench as a just pure spark plug. You know, he's crafty, he can do some fun stuff.
and let him go against some tired defenders.
Yeah, but that's not where we're at.
It's not. At least it's not how we're being. It's at least not how we're managing most games now. I mean, we could be starting Afrifa or Vargas, well, I'm not sure we got anybody else now to start there. Oh no, maybe Jake Davis. But anyway, Caden Pierre. Caden Pierre looks pretty good when he's up there. But anyway, it's not where we're at because Johnny's going to get the start in a big game because that's what Peter wants to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think this speaks to the overall issue with the club. We're the second oldest squad in MLS based on average age. That's a problem. It's not, that model doesn't work anymore.
Who's the oldest one? Do you know?
Austin FC.
How are they doing? Oh, just a little bit better than us.
But this is a league that is driven by youth. The economy of the game is driven by youth. And one of the issues I've had for a long time with how this club runs is that we don't run like the rest of the clubs in the world run, right? We bring in guys who are in their late 20s. We keep them until they basically retire, or we cut them and then they go play for another MLS team. But we make no money on transfers. This team does not sell players for our money. I know that there's exceptions. I know we sold Busio.
Yeah.
But by and large, this team does not take a young player, develop them, and move them on for profit to then bring in more young players. It doesn't fuel the academy. It doesn't do anything. So the entire economy of our club is fueled by the generosity of the Illig family and the Patterson family and, the ownership group. The club is not self-sustaining based on the economic model that we could and should have. And it doesn't even have to be big money moves to the Premier League, but let's talk about a guy like Cam Duke, who we moved on from because he wasn't to the level. And whether that's a developmental thing or just his ceiling or whatever, that's a different conversation. But there's no there's no economy where we could sell him to a USL team, where we could send him to an MLS Next Pro team. We could say hey, Atlanta 2, you want to take a flyer on a guy? $50,000. This club is running like it's still MLS 2.0, like we did when we won a title in 2013, and they're not running like a modern MLS club is.
Well, I was gonna, you got to edit in your head as you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to say this in response, right? So here was my initial thought. We make the excuse often, say that we're such a, small club, or a small club in a small market. And I was going to say, we act too much like that. But then I think, doesn't a small club like that build their academy and focus on that as much as they can? And we haven't even been doing that as well. I mean, even Cincinnati plays, gets players and they get money for them. Columbus does that too. And why can't we?
We can. There's, man, I'm going to sound like the apologist thing now, and I hate doing this.
Okay, Peter, lay it on us.
Yeah, piss off. It's not always easy, and I think one of the things is that with now knowing how the budget has been working through various interviews and articles that we don't have access to actually get, but the millions of dollars that would have been needed to do some things wasn't always there. And the uncertainty about the next year's budget of whether or not they were going to get money made Peter sometimes, I will say, probably reinforce that spending. Like we have TAM dollars or whatever to spend, and you spend it on a guy who knows the system and that you're comfortable with, versus spending a little bit more on a guy who might be a higher end guy who might be more of a risk because it's safe and you can reinvest this money. That's why we had so many guys at TAM level players and low level DPs, because they were always, we're front loading this DP guy so they get 2 million up front, and then we can bring them down to a 500,000 a year player for the next 2 years. And they're manipulating the budget and making the most of it that they could. And I'm not saying that they did all the right things by any stretch of the imagination. And I know we criticize the academy. We are an academy in Kansas City, Missouri, in Kansas City, Kansas. We're in Kansas City. We have a finite group of players. We don't have the big youth development places from Southern California and Texas and Georgia and Florida and New Jersey and things like that. We don't have those. The MLS has loosened those rules. If we don't start taking better advantage of that soon, then we have a lot of criticism. I think they're trying to focus on that. And I know when Mike Burns was hired, he very much mentioned that they have to make better use of those dollars with the academy, with the two team, things like that. I mean, we have to give him a little bit of time to see if he actually can do that. I think there's a lot of factors to why this team becomes stale, is because one of those is that if you don't know the budget you have for next year, you kind of invest in what your best you have right now and try to find things on the margins. And that's what Peter's done a lot, was try to find guys on margins.
Well, but hold on. So, the idea of playing it safe. I'll take a guy in MLS who I know, and let's not name a specific player, but everybody I think can infer who I'm talking about. Taking an MLS player that we already know for slightly less money than taking a risk is exactly why this team hasn't won a trophy in 7 years. It's exactly why this team hasn't won the only trophy that most fans care about in 11 years. I understand the argument that you don't know what the budget will be, but part of that is also that our technical director, our front office staff has not created an economic system wherein we are bringing in and selling players consistently, which would help fund the next acquisition.
Yeah. Now,
And so
I'm not disagreeing with some of that. Okay, because I had this conversation with Brian Bliss a few times, like, well, why didn't you sell that guy? Oh, he wouldn't get us much, but he would get you something, right? I mean, you sell this guy that's not going to work out, and again, not naming any specific names, but this guy that's not working out with Sporting, but is obviously capable of playing in USL level. Sell him for $10,000. I mean, shit, that's not a lot of money, but sell 5 of them, and now you got 50,000 to invest in somebody. I mean, it's not much in the global market, but it's a pattern, and it's a start, and it's a something that you can keep saying, hey, we're investing, we're selling, and maybe that grows. But it was always like, it won't get us much. We'll just let him go.
For every great player that comes through a youth academy at like an elite club, there are 10 guys who get sold to a lower division team for less money, who never get talked about.
At least.
Right? I mean, how many guys in the Premier League are coming through Liverpool's academy and playing for Liverpool or Man U or Man City? It's uncommon. But how many, if you go look at the Championship, League One, League Two, there's guys all over, up and down, who were Man U academy players. And La Masia, Barcelona's academy, is one of the most elite, sporting academies in the world. They put there's I think 2 guys right now on Barcelona's team who came through La Masia. They graduate, how many dozen players a year from the academy. A lot of them just get sold to the Segunda Liga. There's an economic model that we could have with our youth players who aren't maybe up to the level of playing for Sporting, where we could be selling them to clubs like Indy 11 or the Rio Grande Valley, who cares, for $10, $20, $50,000, gets them a professional contract, helps fund everything else. And it's just really short-sighted to suggest that, like, well, we're just going to keep so-and-so around because we're not going to sell them for a lot of money. And, eventually we'll cut them and it's just a complete dead, financial hit. And then you have the chutzpah to ask the ownership group to invest more money, and you're complaining about the budget, but you haven't done anything to help yourself.
So in that vein, I mean, let's look at, and I'm sorry to bring it up, let's look at St. Louis City. They just sold Tim Parker. I don't have the stats in front of me, but they got a fair amount of what, GAM or TAM out of that trade. Why don't we take our players who are reaching, the end of their careers, but still some value, and why don't we sell them off and do a similar type deal?
I would love to see an article where you could run down a list of those players and the times it would have been a good time to sell them, and see if that would have actually been the right thing to do. I think that's a
Yeah.
good Robert article.
Is it?
But that's the thing though, right? Is we're constantly like surrounding the playoffs. This team is frequently almost in the playoffs. And so, or we're in the bottom half of the playoffs. So you never want to sell a guy. You don't want to sell Fontes because, well, we might make the playoffs. And if we make the playoffs, maybe we make a run. But that kind of thinking has staved off the actual rebuild this team needs.
Yeah, I don't really disagree. I mean, you'd have to go through situation by situation by situation. It's easy to say they didn't do all these things, but there's a lot of things come in play with each one of those. But this team is obviously and clearly in need of a rebuild, and it's going to have the opportunity to do that over these next couple of 3 windows. And I think before we get any further into the discussion, we should take a break. And coming back in a second.
This episode is brought to you by our good friends at NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. I'm sure by now you've all gotten back into your Sunday routines, but they could be even better. With NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place, every game, every Sunday, and you can even watch up to 4 different games at once with Multiview, one of my favorite inventions of this decade. It's exactly what you need to catch all the action, make your Sundays more magical, and also YouTube TV is great. I got it this year. It's awesome. Sign up now at youtube.com/BS. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
I'm Victoria Cash. Thanks for calling the Lucky Land Hotline. If you feel like you do the same thing every day, press 1. If you're ready to have some serious fun for the chance to redeem some serious prizes, press 2. We heard you loud and clear. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com right now and play over 100 social casino-style games for free. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We're back. All right. So in this rebuild, I know they've promised a new player, maybe 2. I will say that I am 100% confident there will be an announcement in the next 2 to 3 days.
Do you have some inside information? Are you implying or what?
Well, at the last practice, there was a guy standing there who I am highly confident will be added to the roster if he passes medical. I'm not saying this is not, from my understanding. Again, I don't want to say things that I shouldn't say yet based upon how I achieved this knowledge, but I will say this isn't going to be somebody that's going to go take us to the playoffs this year. I mean, that's not what I'm seeing.
Is this better or worse than signing Federico Basson?
I will, for the moment, say better. I mean, you got to actually see if the guy is healthy.
Is this better or worse? Who was Christian Lobato? Is this better or worse than Christian Lobato?
Oh boy.
Man, that's really tough because Lobato was kind of like very, very low mid for a while, but all of a sudden he popped up and started doing really good, and then he got hurt and he was gone. So
Jordi Quintilla. Sony Mustavar. Will this person have more or less of an impact than Sony Mustavar?
If he's healthy, more.
Wow. I mean, Sony was a nice player. He was a starter.
Okay. I think this guy could be a starter.
Okay. Now you're kind of teasing this news, and I think the important litmus test for our listeners is what I'm going to call the Greenwald test of journalism, which is, do you remember your source?
Why, David? Does that harken back to something?
Wow, true journalists are so filled with knowledge that sometimes they forget who told them things.
That's because you watch too many other leagues. No,
that's right.
Well, no, I do 100% know the source, and I do know exactly how that source got the knowledge, and I'll be honest, I know the name, but I am not at liberty to say it because somebody else discovered it, and I am going to honor their right to leak it first.
All right, so David threw out a couple of names. I got to ask one. Better of a signing than a Winston Reed type player?
I will say Reed was a higher top end
Mm-hmm.
than this player.
Reed
But
was the Kiwi, right?
yeah,
Okay. From like
yeah,
West Ham?
played for West Ham.
Okay.
I mean, he was off of a big injury season. He had a big injury. He wasn't going to get any minutes at West Ham, so he came here to basically rehab and see if he could work his way back to that into the national team. And I think he did go back and play for the national team a bit. I think Reed had a lot of. He was a better player than this guy, perhaps, but it all. I mean, really, when you look at a guy who contributes in an MLS, does he have to be a top end and only play for 1 year, or is it somebody who might play for 6 years and be a solid contributor for that 6 years? I don't know. I don't.
Right.
I can't predict that.
Well, so let's to put a bow on this. You would say 99% likely there is a signing coming.
Yeah, I will say
And
I'm pretty sure that he was getting his medical on Friday or whatever day that was.
is it Neymar?
No,
Is it Ronaldo?
no.
We know it's not
Lewandowski.
Griezmann.
What was the last one you said?
Lewandowski.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well,
I will bet that 98% of people when they hear his name will go, huh?
Good. That's exactly what this team needs.
Botswana.
But
Yeah. Is he a Botswana international?
No. I'm pretty sure it'll be a country that people have heard of and have seen games from.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, people have heard of Botswana.
Have you have you studied like how uninformed people are? I mean, no, I'm not so sure about that. People that listen to this show have heard of Botswana.
Yeah, exactly. If for no other reason, they know it because of us. All right. Can we talk to finish Sporting KC because we're running out of time. We play Orlando next at home on August 24th back in the league. Orlando is 7th in the East. They are 9-7. They're 5-0-1 in MLS play in July. They're just burning through people. But drew their last 2 Leagues Cup matches, won one on PKs and then lost on PKs and were eliminated. How do you guys feel about playing Orlando?
That's 12 days from now, David. I'm going to be so consumed by the Leagues Cup that I won't even care about that 12-day gap.
I hate you.
Wonder if Sporting will play any like friendlies in between just to stay fresh.
Oh, more breaking news from that, or is that just
no? That's a
blowing in the wind.
That's based upon past performance. They'll probably do some kind of like behind door scrimmage that nobody will know about, except it'll be casually mentioned in a practice 3 weeks later.
Well, they should make sure they play somebody they can beat. So queue up UMKC or Avila or something.
That filter, I was thinking of throwing out of the current. I don't know.
No, the current would. I mean, I do know how the U.S. women's team fares when they play the gentlemen, but I mean, I don't think the current would be that far off the pace.
Especially Timois.
Oh, man, it'd be fun to watch Timois run at Fontes. Get cooked.
Oh, it would be interesting. All right, so yeah, they got to play Orlando, and then a couple 3 days later, Indy 11.
There you go. That's the one we're all looking forward to.
I mean, do you start your like second team to play Orlando so you can hopefully beat Indy 11?
Yes.
Because the playoffs just aren't going to happen. So yes, I agree.
I mean, I know they're not mathematically eliminated, but
yeah,
it would if there was like huge signs that they were, like last year, like they're playing a lot better, even though nobody still gave them a chance to get into playoffs until like really like the last couple games. I mean, people were so down on them, understandably. But right now, they're not even really. They showed signs of being slightly better in beating bad teams, Austin, Chicago, Dallas twice, etc. But they're not showing any signs of being able to be much better at this point. Who knows? Maybe a good win against Orlando and they make a run for the playoffs. But I'm not counting it.
What was that XG against Columbus? What was that?
I honestly don't remember, and I'm blanking it out.
I think it's like 0.1 or something like that.
Yeah, the one decent shot in the first half, was that?
Probably.
No, their keeper did have to make one good save. That was one good save. But all right. What else do we need to do in this segment before we run out of time? We can always come back and talk a little bit more about some other stuff.
U.S. national team Olympics.
Yeah, definitely.
The U.S. women's national team won gold in Paris, beating Brazil 1-0. It was a good game. It was an entertaining game.
Was that bothersome in any way to you, David? Were you conflicted at all during that?
No.
Okay.
In the words of Lee Greenwood, I'm proud to be an American.
Okay. All right.
Where
Just
at
want to
least I
make
know
sure.
I'm free. I think if I sing any more of it, I may have to pay royalties. But no, I mean, I'm born and raised in Overland Park, Kansas, man. I'm rooting for the U.S.
I just
national
had
team
to ask. I
every
just had
single
to
game.
ask, man.
If they had lost, it would have been an okay consolation. But
There you go.
But not you know where my loyalties lie.
I told you I met a girl from Brazil in Chicago, right?
You did not tell me that.
Yeah,
I did
yeah, you
not.
did.
Yeah, you saw the video. Come on, man.
I don't remember that.
He was
The
talking to
last 8
some.
months have been a real blur. It was a interesting game. It was a very defensively oriented game. 1-0. But and I'm gonna butcher the name, but U.S. national team keeper Alyssa Nair.
Yep, that's right.
Dude, she killed it. She had great command of the box.
She's the
dug
reason
in.
they've actually made it anywhere. I'll be honest.
She's a beast.
They have extremely talented forwards. The threesome up front, Rodman, Sophia Smith, and Mallory Swanson. Extremely talented. I mean, I would love to have any of them on a team, but they gave up enough opportunities that Alyssa Nair was one that always kept them in games. So she's amazingly good.
Yeah, she stood on her head.
Yeah.
What I thought was interesting, you mentioned you'd love to have any of the forwards on the team. I noticed not one U.S. women's national team player on that roster and not one Brazilian national team player plays for KC.
You're wrong.
Who?
Lauren plays for the KC Current.
Does she?
She does. She's not played a lot of games this season, but she plays for the KC Current.
But I thought it was interesting. Well, and point taken, I was wrong. I'm sorry, Thad. But
I
did
saw
think
you
it-
write this, and I just was waiting for it to ambush you, man. I apologize.
Why? Why?
Because it's more fun.
Hateful. I don't understand.
Hey, you're the one that was setting me up to get ambushed earlier, so that's fine.
When?
My opening statement. It's okay. Keep going. Keep going.
Whatever. But I did think it was interesting though that we didn't see Dabinia be some of the other,
Well, B is
I was
hurt.
surprised. I was surprised for how as good as the Current are, they didn't have more national teamers.
Bia probably would have been called up, but she's hurt. So she's not playing for the Current right now. So she would not have played in the Olympics. So that's a good reason why she wasn't there. Dabinia came off an injury earlier in the season and honestly was not in very good form until the NWSL version of the Leagues Cup, the NWSL X Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup. So she's been killing it there, but that's also because she's been the one to get the offense because there was no Bia. Tim Wah was hurt for part of that time. So it was giving her opportunity to maybe shine a little bit more, get more time. And she's scored 4 or 5 goals in that time. Robert's correcting me since 4. I knew it's 4 or 5, but yeah. No.
I just thought it was my comment was only that, the Current are playing so well with a limited amount of, at least national teamers who played in the final of the Olympics.
I do think that if the Olympics was held like in a few months from now, that might be different with Bia being back in form or healthy, Dabinia being back in form. That could have changed it. Timwa, their national team doesn't really do anything. The Americans are not really that we have on the forward line are not quite at that level. Claire Hutton could be in that mix in the next couple of years in the midfield, so I would not be surprised at that. Alana Cook, who they traded for during the Summer Cup, it will be in that mix for being back in the center back pairing, I think, in the future. She just was out of form for the last couple of years.
Yeah, did not get called up to US 20 under 23s.
U20s.
20s, okay.
Yeah, going to the World Cup. So she'll
She's
be
so fun to watch.
I think she'll be here for the next game and then leave after that. All right,
She's so fun to watch.
Let's take a break and we'll come back for a few minutes for the last segment. We'll be back. All right, back for segment 3. What do we have left to talk? General Olympics, other soccer, I don't know, plans on building houses, anything?
Okay, let's talk
So-
Olympics because I've missed all of the Olympic talk and I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts.
Tell us.
First of all, breakdancing was stupid. So stupid.
The sport or the activity in general?
The activity in general is awesome. I mean, like, I wish I could breakdance. I can't do that. That's super cool. I feel like I have seen guys spinning on their head on cardboard in New York City that was more impressive than the people we were giving medals to. I was so confused. Other than that Australian woman who, let's just say, put forth a very avant-garde performance of what would be called breakdancing, it was not entertaining. It was really stupid, and I am so happy that LA is not bringing breakdancing in 2028.
So why did you sit down and waste your time with this?
I'm a dancing aficionado, Robert.
Are
Tap,
you?
Jazz, ballet.
Oh
my God.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was born to dance.
Oh,
And so-
but you can't break dance.
To be honest, I've never tried. I do think that it would be accurate to say that I cannot do it, but I've also never attempted to. So
I do think
Perhaps
you would at
I'm-
least do better than the Australian woman.
perhaps I'm some sort of savant that, it's just a hidden talent. I don't know. I've never tried.
We're gonna have to hold an event to see.
You know what? I'm shameless and will do anything for charity. So if we find a charitable organization, I will attempt to break dance if it will raise money for some sort of good cause.
All right. Well, I could be a charity, but yeah. Anyway, I think that would be entertaining. I think we should do that. Raise funds for, improved equipment for the regular
Could be.
host of this show, perhaps.
He won't even listen to this. He won't even hear this segment to know that we're making fun of him.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, hey, he better listen to this because you know how many times he gives me crap for not listening to our own show? That I'm like, I talked on it. I already know it was on there. But yeah.
So what's your favorite? We've had a lot of discussion about fencing and the pros and cons of fencing. Robert, what is your favorite Olympic sport?
Olympic sport, are we talking just summer? I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right. This is sad because, I am gonna follow what I've watched for years, and that's usually been dictated by women. But I'm gonna have to say gymnastics. Sorry. Pat answer, I know.
Why is that a sorry? I mean,
Dude,
Just
Simone
because it's
Biles
a
is
pat
so
answer,
impressive.
man.
No, it's just, it's so impressive what they do.
It is, yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Jordan Childs got ripped off, and I'm not too happy about that. But anyway,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if you heard, but she got her bronze taken away today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because she appealed 4 seconds too late.
was that what it was? 4
They-
seconds.
Yeah,
4
in a minute
seconds too
window.
late.
They had a minute window, and it was 4 seconds after the minute window.
Because they screwed up in the first place. The only reason
Right.
that they had to, yeah.
Okay, so how do I get to be a member of the Court of Arbitration for Sport? I'm a lawyer. How do I get on this? Because I will skew everything in favor of American athletes moving forward. Like, let me put my thumb on the scale of justice for America.
And
No,
what
you
are
sound
some of
like-
these? What are some of these sports that China's get these medals on that you're not happy about, David?
Oh my God. Hold on. Let me pull up the medal list. Somebody vamp while I pull up the list of things that China won medals on.
Well, going back to the Australian woman that was breakdancing, it was a couple weeks ago, and somebody was talking about how, we should start working out, and we could be the next Olympics. We could do fencing, and I don't know what the other one was, and I'm like, no, you're not capable of doing either of those sports because people go, oh, we could just do something and get into the Olympics and da. But you know what? No, in 99.9999% of the time, you can't do that. However, the Australian breakdancer proved that you can show up and go, I am culturally a breakdancer, and you will take me on your team. I mean, Eddie the Eagle was a better ski jumper than she was a breakdancer. There are hundreds of things out there over the past however many years that people show up and say, I can do this sport. I can do this sport. No, you can't really, but somebody paid you to get there, and more power to you. That was just, I think she was just there to be on memes.
Hey, I'm going into speed climbing training right now, right after we get done here. I'm going.
Okay, so China won 2 gold medals in badminton. They won 8 in diving, which I think just goes to show you that diving shouldn't count anymore.
Wait, did those players were they soccer players?
No.
The divers?
No, I get the joke, but no.
Yeah.
Wait, it wasn't a good
they got
joke?
3 golds in gymnastics. Which gymnastics counts. That's tough to go against. The shooting ones. Okay. China won 5 gold medals in shooting. Now, here's my issue with shooting. This country loves its guns. We love guns here. Guns are great. Big gun people by and large.
Hoorah.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know about Robert. I know at least 2 of us on this podcast currently have shot firearms.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. So the US won trap shooting or skeet shooting. China won all the air pistols, the air rifles. They won airsoft. Not even a real gun. Like, if we're going to have shooting in the Olympics, make these people get in camo, go out into a field, and go, like, hunt a deer. Like, you got 24 hours to go shoot a deer. Biggest buck wins. That would be shooting. This is like some tool with an air pistol. Did you see the guy with the rifle? And they've got like the weird sleeve thing. And like, you gotta be kidding me. Stupid.
You do some of that for like distance shooting, but there are like these other events that are not Olympics, but like there's like special forces competitions and sniper competitions and shooting competitions that involve more combat oriented realism that they do out there, and US usually does pretty well in those. Not only, but it's sometimes Canada, Great Britain, sometimes other countries do pretty well in those.
We gave them 5 gold medals for ping pong.
5. Okay.
5 gold medals for Chinese ping pong.
Was it like 4 of them in a team event or something?
Men's singles, men's team, women's singles, women's team, and mixed doubles.
Did anybody else win ping pong, or is it just Chinese?
No, they won all 5 gold and 1 silver.
Huh.
Where's Forrest Gump when you need him? Jeez.
They won 5 gold medals in weightlifting, which should remain an Olympic event, unlike ping pong and badminton and breakdancing.
What's your rule on what could make an Olympic sport, though?
Well, I mean, they have all sorts of Olympic sports that get added and subtracted all the time, right?
Yeah, but what in your opinion makes a worthwhile Olympic sport?
Well, I don't think ping pong, while it takes a lot of skill, I don't consider that to be like a sport per se.
So if it was ever a yard game, it shouldn't be an Olympic game. So badminton's out.
For what it's worth, I also don't think
Lawn darts?
equestrian should be in the Olympics. And I know that will upset my sister and my mother, because my sister went to college on an equestrian scholarship. It takes an immense amount of skill and it does take a measure of athleticism, like core strength, leg strength, to ride the horse and stuff. But horse dancing, not a sport. Dressage, not a sport.
How about
Not in
motocross,
the Olympics.
NASCAR, Formula One?
Awesome activities, not sports.
Not Olympic sports by any means.
I would not call motor vehicle racing a sport. I think it is a competition. It requires athleticism, some athleticism at least, right? Like your body goes through so many G forces and this and that. But it's not like basketball. Like Max Verstappen is not going to hop out of his F1 car and dunk a basketball.
And what do you think about team handball?
Okay, I kind of mess with handball. I like handball.
Yeah, okay.
It's weird. I don't quite understand the rules, but I don't hate it.
But it seems like it's so easy to score.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it'd be a blast to play.
I signed up to play it once, but the whole like league fell through. So
Okay, so in Los Angeles in 2028, there's 5 proposed new sports. There's baseball, softball, there's cricket, lacrosse, squash, and flag football. And I'm on board with all of those except for flag football.
Exactly. Agreed.
why? Why not flag football?
Who else plays it other than the United States? Maybe Canada? Like, what's the point?
So why was baseball, softball eliminated in the first place? Because it used to be for a few years.
The US never sent our good players to play, and nobody else in the world. I mean, like South Korea, Japan play. So the Latin American teams all play, but nobody was taking it all that seriously. And Major League Baseball wasn't releasing
Yeah, but aren't
their
they
best players to play.
aren't they
Like the
planning
US
on
would
doing
field
it?
I don't think so. I don't know, but like the US would field a college team. Like we were putting in college players. So it was not necessarily like the best version of the sport.
My general rule on sports is if it is decided by a team of judges looking at it and saying that was prettier than the other person, then it's not a sport.
So gymnastics not a sport.
To me, it's not a sport when you can have it judged that way. It's a
I don't know.
competition. I mean, like,
Thad Bell, on record. Simone Biles, not an athlete.
I think that has more to do with like a figure skating, ice dancing than maybe a gymnastics.
synchronized swimming,
Right, there you go.
How long
cheer.
can you breathe underwater for?
I've not tested the max limit yet. Apparently, I'm still alive.
He sinks easily, but yeah.
I'm excited for this obit. Thad Bell dies while trying to prove a point with synchronized swimming.
But is holding your breath a Olympic sport? I mean, is that now what you're going to say?
It is if you can dance while you do it.
Is it somebody saying like, "Oh, you were a prettier dancer"? I mean,
Okay, what about underwater breakdancing? I could be convinced to do that. Like that should be a sport in the Olympics.
but breakdancing not.
Regular breakdancing, no. And I'm willing to accept your assertion that synchronized swimming, maybe not. But what about synchronized underwater breakdancing?
All right, go sporting. Woo!
Guys, I love the Olympics. It's so much fun.
Okay, how many of the sport? What was you had fun watching some of these, but how many of those do you watch when it's not the Olympics?
Let me go through the list of sports and I'll tell you.
I'm not sure he
Probably.
really wanted you to go through the list of sports.
Probably not many. How about you,
No.
Robert? I mean, your favorite is gymnastics. How often do you watch gymnastics when it's not the Olympics?
A little more than zip.
Yeah, because you see highlights of Simone Biles, right?
Okay. I will watch collegiate wrestling sometimes.
Yeah.
Volleyball. Tennis I watch regularly. Let's see. Sailing.
Oh, that's right.
I love
Tennis
the
is a
America's
sport.
Cup. Rugby sevens is always awesome. Handball when I was in Europe, I watched a lot of handball.
And you still don't know the rules.
No, because also they were
Handball and team
supposed to be
handball
in
are different.
French, and I don't speak French. Golf I watch regularly. What Wikipedia is referring to as football, that you and I would call soccer, I watch all the time. I enjoy boxing. I've seen equestrian because again, my sister rode horses, so I know all about the jumping and the hunter jumping, and less so about dressage, which Snoop Dogg referred to as horse crip walking. Basketball I watch, track and field. I mean, I think you underestimate how willing I am to watch some sort of competition just out of sheer boredom and interest. Like, I've watched the American Cornhole League.
Well, David, we're letting you prattle on about this just because we appreciate you being back.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so happy to be back.
And we're happy to have you back. I will give you kudos for have potentially watched all of that on a semi-regular basis. But I will say the average person that is the Olympics is so awesome, but they never watch any of those sports. Like they don't like tune into collegiate gymnastics or that sort of thing. When it comes to soccer and some of these other sports, I do regularly go to some of these things or watch them. I'm not, but I still have an interest during the Olympics, but I feel almost a fraud. Like, oh yeah, this was great, but then I won't watch it for 4 years.
No, that's the beauty of American exceptionalism. You don't have to care until the medals
you're
are on
good.
the line. Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. You don't have to watch a moment of handball until the medals are on the line. And as soon as you can beat your chest and play the Star Spangled Banner and hold up a little flag, that's all you need.
I'd like to see the stats across the world, but I especially be interested in the stat for the US. How many people feel the same way about the World Cup? They won't watch soccer unless it's the World Cup, and then they're watching.
Yeah, they'll watch the World Cup, or they'll watch the Olympics, or they'll watch the Premier League and not their own local league tournament. And
I would not call the Leagues Cup a local league tournament. I would call it the Garber money grab. And I watch all of Sporting's MLS games. I watch the U.S. Open Cup, which is a far
that's
better
you,
cup
though.
competition.
But the typical sports
No,
fan
but
in America.
no. But Thad gave a look. Now this is an audio medium, so people listening wouldn't see that. But Thad gave a look because he's doing a callback to when I said that I hate the Leagues Cup and I would not be watching anymore. I think that the Leagues Cup is stupid, and I am a forever Open Cup guy. You know how some people are like never Trumpers?
Let's not go down.
I'm a
that.
never Leagues Cupper.
Right.
I'm a U.S. Open Cup truther.
Again, I will prefer the Open Cup over the Leagues Cup, but more soccer games is not a bad thing.
Yes, it is. This team is beat to hell. It's a terrible idea.
If Sporting was in competition to win it, it would be a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, if we were good, I'd be all in on the Leagues Cup for sure.
Yeah. So see, just don't be hypocritical. The Leagues Cup is not a bad thing. There is a bad thing to having too many games and not having a big enough roster, or somebody who will manage that roster in a way that will make it an acceptable risk to playing all those games. But having more soccer, a team that I support. I mean, I wasn't sitting here complaining about the NWSL X Liga MX Femenil Summer Cup games. I'm still not so happy about the Women's Cup, where they're playing 3 teams from around the world that have no connection to each other, that they're just trying to do a pseudo Club World Cup with non-winners, and it's a tremendous money grab, but it'll be an opportunity to go see a couple other teams. So it's fine. But I don't have a problem with having a Leagues Cup. I just have a problem with putting down the Open Cup in the process.
Well, like many of our Olympic sports, it's stupid unless we're good at it.
Any last words, Robert?
Thad, you are the last word, man, even when you're not hosting. So
the
onus is on you, man.
Yeah, Thad, say something prophetic.
Fencing judges are corrupt. And we are out.
It's Saturday and the game is on. 10 minutes in, it's 3-0. I'm tipping back on a can. I don't give a damn if it's 9 a.m. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. The other side don't seem so tough, and 3 own goals ain't all that rough. Our skipper has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football again.